I buried my wife on Thursday. By Friday, my daughter looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Your good life is over, Dad." Let me tell you where this ends up first. Police lights painting my mansion blue and red, my daughter screaming in handcuffs, "He has nothing, I own it all." But to understand how we got there, you need to go back 72 hours, back to the worst day of my life, or what I thought was the worst day. Rain hammered down on Lakewood Cemetery that Thursday afternoon. Every drop felt personal, like God himself was spitting on my grief. I stood there watching them lower my wife into the ground, and I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. She was 42 years old. Found her Tuesday morning collapsed in our kitchen, coffee still brewing, toast burning black in the toaster. By afternoon, she was gone. Heart attack, they said. Sudden, unexpected, devastating. My daughter, Natalie, stood beside me, in black cashmere, squeezing my hand through her leather gloves. Just once. But for that single moment, I let myself hope. Maybe this tragedy would fix what broke between us. Maybe grief would bring back the daughter I used to know. The casket descended in the mud. I wanted to scream, wanted to climb down there with her. Instead, I just stood there like a statue, twisting my wedding ring until my knuckle went white. I'm Bennett Reynolds, 68 years old, hands so calloused you could strike a match on them. I came to Minnesota with my wife back in 1998, 2 suitcases and $1,700 between us. We slept in a studio where winter cold crept through the walls like a living thing. I worked construction during the day. She waitressed nights at Perkins on Lake Street. Every penny went into a coffee can we labeled Future. 5 years of that. 5 years of eating ramen and wearing secondhand clothes. Then we bought our first property, a foreclosed duplex in South Minneapolis. Fixed it ourselves, working weekends until our backs gave out. Sold it for double what we paid. That's how Reynolds Construction was born. Started small, residential renovations, kitchen remodels, bathroom fixes, then commercial projects. By 2015, we were pulling in 7 figures annually. The Edina house came in 2010. 5 bedrooms, 3-car garage, backyard big enough to host 100 kids for Natalie's Sweet 16. My daughter grew up in that wealth. Private schools, dance lessons, summer camps in Colorado, everything I never had, I gave her. University of Minnesota, then Northwestern, then back to Minnesota. 3 universities in 4 years. 0 degrees. Just excuses about finding herself that cost me $40,000 per semester. She moved back home at 24. Said she needed time. That turned into 2 years of sleeping until noon, hitting clubs until 3 a.m., spending money like it grew on trees in our backyard. My wife and I fought about it constantly. I wanted to cut her off, make her stand on her own feet like we did. But my wife couldn't do it. "She's our only child," she'd say, tears in her eyes. So Natalie stayed, living rent-free, driving a BMW I paid for, acting like the world owed her everything. My house smelled like casseroles nobody would eat, and flowers already wilting in the heat. Neighbors grabbed my shoulders with sweaty hands. Business partners mumbled the same words over and over. "Sorry for your loss, Ben." I watched Natalie work the room. Mascara running at perfect moments, voice trembling when she thanked people. She hugged my mother like she actually cared. When Mrs. Chen brought a tuna casserole, Natalie embraced her and whispered, "Mom loved your cooking." I stood across the room with bourbon in my hand thinking, she should have been an actress. By 7 p.m., everyone left. Silence ate the house whole. I collapsed into the leather recliner, my wife's spot where she'd read mystery novels every night. The cushion still held her shape. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Looked up. Natalie came down dressed in black leather and silver zippers, hair pulled back tight, makeup darker than what she wore hours ago. "Where are you going?" She looked past me like I was furniture, like I didn't exist. Out. Your mother just, I need air. The door slammed so hard, pictures rattled on the walls. I watched through the window as her BMW tore out of the driveway, taillights vanishing into the Minneapolis night. She didn't come home. I know because I stayed awake until dawn, sitting in that chair, twisting my wedding ring, staring at the empty driveway. I missed every warning sign until it destroyed me. Subscribe so you don't make my mistakes. Friday morning hit cold and gray. I woke up in the recliner with my neck screaming and my back locked up. The house was dead silent. Then, I heard footsteps in the kitchen. I walked in and found Natalie sitting at the table. She'd been there a while, coffee cup empty, phone face down beside her. But something was different. The way she looked at me, cold, calculating, like she was staring at prey. My stomach dropped before she even opened her mouth. In the next 60 seconds, my daughter would take everything I'd built over 40 years, every penny, every asset, everything. And I never saw it coming.
"We need to talk," Natalie said. I poured coffee with shaking hands. Grief was eating me alive. I barely slept, barely ate. About what? About the fact that your good life is over, Dad. The words hit me like a punch. I turned slowly. "What did you just say?" She slid a thick folder across the granite countertop, legal-sized, official-looking. "Mom made me executor of her estate 6 months ago. Did you know that?" My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "She changed her will. Everything. The house, the business accounts, the investment portfolio, it's all in a trust." She smiled. No warmth, just teeth. "And I control it." I grabbed the papers with trembling hands. Power of attorney documents, trust agreements, all dated, all notarized. My wife's signature at the bottom of every page. "This can't be real. Your mother would never—" "She did," Natalie interrupted. "She told me you were hiding money, having an affair, planning to leave her. She wanted to protect herself, protect me." "That's insane. I never cheated, never planned." "Doesn't matter what you say." She stood up, held out her hand. "I need your credit cards, bank cards, car keys, phone, all of it." I stared at her. This couldn't be happening. My wife died 48 hours ago. My daughter was supposed to be grieving with me, not staging some kind of hostile takeover. "Natalie, please, we can talk about this. We can—" "Hand them over or I'll call the police." "What?" She pulled up her sleeve. A bruise spread across her forearm, dark purple, almost black. "I'll tell them you attacked me, that you've been violent since Mom died. I already sent myself threatening texts from your phone last night while you were passed out drunk." My hands went numb. "You're lying." "Am I?" She pulled out her phone, showed me the screen. "Messages from my number. You're just like your mother, ungrateful. I should have never had you." Another one. "If you don't shut up, I'll make you regret it." I never sent those. Never even thought them. "Who do you think they'll believe?" Natalie asked, voice cold as January. The grieving daughter with bruises and threatening texts, or the angry widower who just lost everything? My wallet felt heavy in my hands. Visa, MasterCard, debit cards. I pulled them out one by one, placed them on the counter. She snatched them up like she was collecting poker chips. Phone too. "Natalie, it's linked to accounts I now control. Give it to me." I handed over my phone, my truck keys. 40 years of work, and I was giving it all to my daughter because she threatened me with lies. "You can stay in the guest room for now," she said like she was doing me a favor, like this was her house and I was the guest. "But find somewhere else soon. I'm selling the property next month." "This is my house," I whispered. "No," she smiled again. "It's not." She walked out, left me standing in the kitchen I built, in the house I paid for, with nothing. Saturday morning I tried the front door. Locked. She changed it overnight. I pounded on the wood until my knuckles split and bled. "Natalie, open this door. This is my house." Her voice came through clear and calm. "Leave now or I'll call 911. You're trespassing." I slept in the garage that night. Used old construction tarps for blankets. They smelled like turpentine and 30 years of failed dreams. The concrete floor made my back seize up. I shivered until dawn. Sunday morning, I walked 3 miles to my brother Kevin's apartment in Bloomington. Shoes rubbing blisters, wearing the same clothes from the funeral. I probably looked homeless. Felt homeless. Kevin opened the door and his face went white. "What happened to you?" That's when I noticed. I reached for my wedding ring, the habit that kept me sane for 36 years of marriage, and found nothing. Just bare skin. Natalie had taken it while I slept. Even that. What she took next, I'll never forget. Subscribe so you catch what I almost missed. Have you ever trusted someone who destroyed you? Comment betrayed if you know this feeling. I told Kevin everything. He immediately tried calling his lawyer. "We'll fight this," he promised. "She can't just steal everything." Monday morning, we sat in Patricia Chen's office. Sharp woman, expensive suit, 20 years of East State law experience. She reviewed the documents for an hour. Her face got darker with each page. Finally, she looked up. "These are legitimate," she said. "The trust was established properly. Power of attorney is valid. Your wife's signature was notarized by a licensed Minnesota notary." I felt the room spin. "But I didn't know anything about it," I cried. "That's not illegal," Patricia said carefully. "A spouse has the right to establish trusts without informing their partner." I wanted to vomit, wanted to put my fist through her desk. Then Patricia leaned forward. "However," she paused, "there's something very wrong here. The notary's signature, it tells the story your daughter thought she'd buried." "What do you mean wrong?" I asked. Patricia pulled up records on her computer. "The notary who witnessed these documents, Linda Voss, she's been under investigation by the Minnesota Department of Commerce for 6 months. 3 separate complaints filed against her for falsifying notarizations." Hope flickered in my chest. "So they might be fake." "Possibly. But here's what doesn't make sense. These documents were notarized exactly 4 months ago, right in the middle of her investigation. No legitimate notary would risk their license during an active probe unless..." She trailed off, clicking through more files. "Unless what?" "Unless someone paid them enough to make it worth the risk." Patricia spun her monitor toward me. "I ran a background check on your daughter like you requested. She's been dating someone, Derek Holloway, 29 years old, financial advisor, or he was until 2019 when he got disbarred for embezzling client funds. Now he runs consulting services out of a strip mall office in Bloomington." I stared at the photo. Slick hair, expensive suit, the kind of guy who'd sell his mother for a quick buck. "How long have they been together?" 8 months, since March." She clicked another tab. "And here's where it gets interesting." She showed me grainy security camera footage, date stamp, 4 months ago. Location, Linda Voss Notary Services, downtown Minneapolis. A woman walked through the door. Similar build to my wife, same hair color. But something was off, the way she moved. My wife had limped slightly since a car accident back in 2010, left knee never healed right. This woman walked perfectly. She zoomed in, froze the frame. My breath stopped. It was Natalie. Wearing a wig, dressed exactly like my wife, down to the blue cardigan my wife wore every Monday, signing documents with practiced strokes. "She forged everything," I whispered. "She's been planning this for at least 4 months, probably longer." Something clicked in my brain, a connection I didn't want to make but couldn't ignore. My wife was healthy, ran the Minneapolis Marathon last year, ate organic, never missed doctor's appointments. At 42, she had the body of someone 10 years younger. Heart attack? Out of nowhere? "Patricia, I need you to request an autopsy. Full toxicology report." She studied my face for a long moment. "You think your daughter killed your wife?" "I think someone did, and I think they've been planning it since spring." Patricia hesitated, then, There's something else you should know. I didn't find this security footage myself. Someone sent it to me, anonymously, 3 days ago. Who? I traced the email. It came from Carol Martinez, your wife's best friend. I remember Carol. They'd known each other since college, went to yoga together every Saturday, had lunch at the same cafe every Thursday. Why would Carol send this anonymously? Because she's been watching your daughter for months. Your wife told Carol she was afraid that Natalie had been acting strange, asking intrusive questions about finances and legal documents. Carol started documenting everything. My phone, Kevin's phone actually, buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Mr. Reynolds, this is Carol. Meet me at Caribou Coffee on France Avenue today at 3 p.m. Come alone. I have something about your wife's last doctor appointment, the one Natalie scheduled without telling you. I stared at that text for a long time. 3 days ago, I was the victim, the broken widower, the father who got destroyed by his own daughter. But sitting in Patricia's office, watching Natalie's face on that security camera, something ancient and cold woke up inside me. I'd spent 40 years building things from nothing, turning dirt lots into million-dollar properties, taking broken houses and making them whole. My daughter thought she'd won. She had no idea. I knew how to tear things down, too. We've all seen betrayal, but this? Subscribe because you need to see how deep this goes. What are you thinking? Patricia asked, as my expression changed. I'm thinking my daughter's boyfriend, Derek, has a history of fraud. I'm thinking he's probably broke, despite the expensive suits, and I'm thinking desperate people make stupid mistakes. What kind of mistakes? I pulled up local news on Kevin's phone and searched for Derek's name. Found an article from 2019. Financial advisor caught in Ponzi scheme. Victims lose $2 million. The kind where you owe money to very dangerous people, and you'll do anything to pay them back. Even help your girlfriend murder her mother. Patricia's eyes widened. You can't go after them yourself. If you're right about this, I'm not going after them. I'm going to let them destroy each other. Patricia warned me, whatever we find, handle it legally. Understood? I nodded, lied to her face, because walking out of that office, I was already building a plan she could never sanction. Derek wasn't just broke, he was in debt to the Kozlov brothers, Russian operation running consulting firms on Hennepin Avenue. I knew this because they tried to get me to launder money through Reynolds Construction 3 years ago. I'd said no back then. But now I was going to pay them a visit. What would you do? Fight legally or fight dirty? Comment your answer. I walked into Caribou Coffee at exactly 3 p.m. Carol sat in the back corner, eyes darting to the door every few seconds. Her hands shook around her coffee cup. "Thank you for coming," she whispered as I sat down. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, medical records, test results, doctor's notes. "Your wife came to me 3 weeks before she died," Carol said. "She felt wrong, dizzy, nauseous, heart racing randomly. I convinced her to see Dr. Anderson, a cardiologist friend of mine, without telling Natalie." I pulled out the lab report. My hands started shaking. "Trace amounts of digoxin detected in patient blood work," I read out loud. "It's a heart medication," Carol explained. "Your wife wasn't prescribed it. Dr. Anderson said small doses over weeks or months can simulate cardiac arrest, makes it look natural." I felt sick. Someone was poisoning her. "Dr. Anderson wanted to report it immediately, but your wife was terrified. She said Natalie had been acting strange for months, asking questions about wills, about what happens to assets when someone dies. Your wife thought..." Carol's voice cracked. "She thought Natalie was planning something. She wanted proof first." "Why didn't you go to police after she died?" I asked. Carol's face hardened. "I tried. Went straight to the police station. Detective Morrison took my statement, looked at the medical records, then told me I was traumatized, seeing conspiracies, grief playing tricks on my mind." "Why would he dismiss evidence like this?" "Because I did some digging afterward," Carol said. "Detective Morrison is Derek Holloway's cousin. They grew up together in South Minneapolis. Morrison had been covering for Derek since high school." Carol pulled out her phone, showed me photos. Natalie and Derek at restaurants, at clubs, getting into Derek's car outside the Adina house. "I've been watching them for 2 months," she said, "since your wife died. I knew something was wrong, so I started documenting everything." She swiped to another photo. Derek meeting with 2 men in suits outside a warehouse on Hennepin Avenue. "I don't know who those men are," Carol said, "but Derek meets with them every Friday. Cash exchanges hands." I knew exactly who they were. Viktor and Alexei Kozlov. Brothers. Russian nationals, ran money laundering operations disguised as import-export businesses. Dr. Anderson still has backup blood samples. She stored them off record. She'll testify if we can prove Natalie had access to digoxin. An idea formed. Dangerous. Possibly illegal, but it might work. Derek's in debt. Deep debt. To very bad people, the kind who break kneecaps when you miss payments. "How do you know?" "Because they tried to recruit me 3 years ago, wanted me to launder money through my construction company. I refused." I leaned forward. "But if we can prove Derek sourced the digoxin through the Kozlov brothers." Her eyes widened. "They turned on him to save themselves." "Exactly." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened it and my blood turned to ice. A photo. Me and Carol sitting at this exact table. Taken 4 minutes ago from across the street. Text below. "Back off, or Carol's daughter has an accident. We're watching everything." Carol's phone erupted. She answered, face draining of color. "Emma?" she said. Her hand started shaking worse. "What? When?" She hung up, looked at me with terror in her eyes. "Someone followed Emma home from school. They know her locker number, her class schedule, the route she takes home." Tears streamed down her face. "They sent her a text with a photo of our house. Said accidents happen to teenage girls who don't pay attention." We'd been made. Derek knew we were investigating, and he wasn't playing around. Patricia called 5 minutes later. Emergency meeting at her office. The autopsy was fast-tracked. Results come back Wednesday morning. But here's the problem. Someone with serious influence pushed it through. Someone wanted this expedited. That doesn't make sense. Why would Derek or Natalie want an autopsy rushed? They wouldn't, Patricia said grimly, which means someone else is involved. Someone we haven't identified yet. There's more, Patricia continued. I got access to your daughter's banking information through the trust documents. She's scheduled to wire transfer everything to offshore accounts Friday morning, Cayman Islands. Once that money leaves the country, it's gone forever. And so is any leverage we have. I did the math. Today was Monday. That gave us 4 days. We need to move fast. If Natalie gets spooked, she'll disappear with Derek and will never prove anything. Everything collapsed in 4 days. Subscribe so you don't miss how it all came apart. Carol's phone buzzed again. She looked at it and went pale. It's Emma. Someone's outside our house, sitting in a black SUV, just watching. I felt rage building in my chest. These people threatened to hurt a 17-year-old girl, used fear as a weapon, thought they could intimidate us in the backing down. They had no idea who they were dealing with. I stood up. I need to make a call. Stay here. I walked outside, dialed a number I hadn't used in 3 years. A man answered in Russian accented English. Viktor Kozlov, this is Bennett Reynolds. We met a few years back. You offered me a business opportunity. I declined, but I'm ready to talk now. Silence on the other end. Then, why the change of heart, Mr. Reynolds? Because I have information about Derek Holloway. Information about money he owes you. And information about where he's planning to run with it. Was this too far? Comment if you think I crossed the line. Victor agreed to meet me. Wednesday night, warehouse on Hennepin Avenue. I walked back inside, told Carol and Patricia the plan. Patricia looked horrified. "You're going to make a deal with the Russian mob? Are you insane?" "No," I said. "I'm going to let Derek's creditors collect what he owes. And when Natalie realizes Derek can't protect her anymore, she'll panic, make mistakes. That's when we move." Carol's phone buzzed again. Text from an unknown number. She showed me the screen. My stomach dropped. "Mr. Reynolds made an interesting phone call just now. Tell him we heard everything. Tell him his plan won't work. Tell him we're coming for all of you." Someone was listening to my calls. "They're tracking our phones," Carol whispered. I grabbed both phones, pulled the batteries out, looked at Patricia. "We're not safe here. They know where we are. They know what we're planning." Patricia's office phone rang. She answered. Her face went white. "That was the medical examiner's office," she said. "The autopsy results are ready early. They're being delivered to the police station tomorrow morning. But here's the strange part. The ME said someone else requested a copy." "Who?" "Your daughter, Natalie." I felt the floor drop out from under me. Why would Natalie request autopsy results? Unless... "It's a trap," I said. "She knows we ordered the autopsy. She's been ahead of us this whole time." Carol checked her email on Patricia's computer. Gasped. "I just got a message. From your wife's email account. Sent 2 hours ago?" "That's impossible," I said. "She's been dead for 5 days." Carol turned the screen toward me. Email from my wife's account. Subject line, "I'm sorry." I opened it with shaking hands. "Bennett, if you're reading this, I've set up a dead man switch. This email sends automatically if I don't log in for 120 hours. I know what Natalie is planning. I know about Derek. But there's something else you need to know. Something I should have told you years ago. Natalie isn't working with Derek. She's working against him. And the person helping her? Someone you trust. Check the safety deposit box at Wells Fargo on France Avenue. Box 447. The key is taped under the third drawer of my desk. The truth is in there. I'm sorry I waited too long. I'm sorry for everything. Your wife." Tuesday morning, I stood in Wells Fargo with Patricia and Carol. My hand shook as I inserted the key into box 447. Inside, a flash drive and a handwritten letter. I unfolded the letter. My wife's handwriting. Tears blurred my vision as I read. "Bennett, if you're reading this, Natalie succeeded. I'm dead. And I need you to know the truth before she destroys you, too. 2 years ago, Natalie got involved with Victor Kozlov, not Derek. Derek came later. She met Victor at a club downtown. He saw something in her, something dark. He recruited her to help launder money through fake real estate transactions. She wasn't a victim. She was a willing participant. For 18 months, she moved money for the Kozlov operation, made $200,000. Then she got greedy. She started planning to steal from Victor, use Derek as a fall guy, steal our assets, frame Derek for my murder, disappear with everything while the Kozlovs went after Derek for their missing money. I discovered all this 3 months ago when I found encrypted messages on her laptop. I confronted her. She cried, apologized, begged for another chance. I wanted to believe her so badly. So I gave her an ultimatum. Therapy and cut all ties with Victor, or I go to the FBI. She agreed, promised to change. Then the symptoms started. Dizzy spells, heart palpitations. I knew then that she'd chosen Victor over her own mother. But here's what you need to know. Someone else is helping her. Someone who's been there from the beginning. Someone you trust completely. Watch the flash drive. The truth is worse than you think. I love you. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I thought I could fix her. I was wrong. We watched the flash drive in Patricia's office. Security camera footage, time-stamped from 6 months ago. My wife set up a hidden camera in our home office. The video showed Natalie on our computer, but she wasn't alone. Someone sat beside her, pointing at the screen, showing her how to forge documents.
The camera angle shifted as the person stood up. My heart stopped. It was Patricia Chen, my lawyer, the woman I'd been trusting for the past week. In the video, Patricia printed documents, handed them to Natalie. This power of attorney gives you complete control once the trust is activated. Your father won't be able to challenge it. Natalie smiled. And the digoxin? Small doses in her coffee every morning, Patricia said on the video. Your mother drinks it. He doesn't. In 6 weeks, she'll have a heart attack. Natural causes, no investigation. I slowly turned to look at Patricia. She sat frozen in her chair, face expressionless. How long? I asked. Patricia didn't answer immediately. Then she smiled, the same cold smile my daughter wore. 2 years, she finally said. Since Natalie first approached me about accessing her trust fund early, she'd spent everything you gave her, needed more. I saw an opportunity. Carol backed toward the door. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Patricia said calmly. Detective Morrison will answer. Remember? He's Victor Kozlov's cousin, and he's been on my payroll for 18 months. You set this all up, I said. The fake documents, the notary, the trust, everything. Your wife was supposed to sign the documents willingly, Patricia explained. We were going to tell her you'd been hiding assets, planning to divorce her. She'd transfer everything to Natalie for protection. Then, she'd have a heart attack. Clean, simple. But she found out. She installed that camera, started digging, threatened to expose us. Patricia shrugged. So, we accelerated the timeline. The digoxin doses increased. She died faster than we planned, but the results were the same. And Derek? A useful idiot, Patricia said. Natalie needed someone to take the fall if anything went wrong. Derek thinks he's her partner. He has no idea she's planning to frame him for everything. The fraud, the murder, the money laundering. I stood up slowly. You made one mistake. What's that? I assumed I came here alone. The office door burst open. FBI agents poured in. Behind them, Detective Sarah Blackwood from the Financial Crimes Unit. Not Morrison. Someone clean. Patricia's face finally showed emotion. Fear. We've been recording this entire conversation, Detective Blackwood said. Patricia Chen, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and racketeering. I looked at Patricia as they cuffed her. Your wife wasn't just documenting evidence. She was working with the FBI as a confidential informant for 8 months. She fed them everything about Natalie's involvement with the Kozlovs, about your law firm laundering money, about Detective Morrison. Patricia's eyes widened. That's impossible. If she was FBI, why did she die? Because I pushed too hard, Detective Blackwood said. We wanted to build an airtight case. I asked her to gather more evidence. Natalie figured out something was wrong and accelerated her plan. Your wife's death is on me. Carol stepped forward. The safety body box wasn't the only thing she left. She recorded everything. Copies sent to 3 different FBI field offices with dead man switches. The moment she missed her scheduled check-in, it all went live. Wednesday morning, I watched from Detective Blackwood's car as FBI agents raided my Adina house. Natalie came out in handcuffs, screaming. Derek followed, looking confused. Victor and Alexei Kozlov were arrested simultaneously at their warehouse. Detective Morrison was pulled from his desk at the police station. 7 people arrested. 2 years of investigation, all because my wife spent her last 8 months building a case while her daughter slowly poisoned her. I got everything back. House, money, business accounts, Reynolds Construction, my truck, even my wedding ring, found in Natalie's jewelry box. But standing in that empty Adina house Thursday afternoon, I felt nothing. The victory was hollow. My daughter faced 30 years for first-degree murder, conspiracy, fraud, and racketeering. Derek got 25 years. Patricia got life without parole. The Kozlov brothers were extradited to Russia, where charges were even worse. I won. But what did I win? A house full of ghosts? A business I built with a woman who wasn't here to run it with me? I found my wife's wedding ring in her nightstand, put it on my finger next to mine, twisted them both until my knuckle turned white. People kept asking if I got my revenge. I told them I got something better. I got the truth. But the truth didn't bring her back, didn't erase the image of my daughter's cold eyes across the kitchen table, didn't undo the fact that my only child chose money over her own mother's life. I sold the Adina house, couldn't stand living there anymore. Every room held memories that now felt poisoned. The kitchen, where my wife drank her morning coffee, laced with digoxin. The office, where Patricia and Natalie planned murder. The garage, where I slept like a homeless man in my own home. I dissolved Reynolds Construction, donated most of the money to cardiac research, kept enough to live simply, moved to a small apartment in northeast Minneapolis, place my wife and I could have afforded back in 1998. Funny how life comes full circle. 3 weeks after the arrests, I visited Natalie in county jail. She refused to see me at first. I waited 3 hours in that visiting room until she finally came out. She sat behind the glass partition, orange jumpsuit, hair pulled back, no makeup. For a moment, she looked like the little girl I used to read bedtime stories to. Then she picked up the phone and I saw her eyes, still cold, still calculating. "Why are you here?" she asked. "I want to know why," I said. "Your mother loved you. I loved you. We gave you everything. Why wasn't it enough?" She was quiet for a long time. Then, "Because you gave me everything except the one thing I actually wanted." "What's that?" "Your respect." Her voice cracked. "You looked at me like I was a failure every day, every conversation. Why can't you finish school? Why can't you get a job? Why can't you be more like us? I was never enough for you." "So you killed your mother?" "I didn't want to," she whispered. Tears finally came. "Patricia said it was the only way, that Mom would never sign over the assets willingly, that if we didn't act fast, you'd cut me off completely. I thought if I had the money, you'd finally see me as successful, as worthy." I stared at my daughter through that glass and realized I'd failed her long before she failed me. Maybe if I'd spent less time building businesses and more time building our relationship. Maybe if I'd asked why she was struggling instead of judging her for it. Maybe if I'd seen the warning signs years ago when she first started changing. Maybe none of this would have happened. "I'm sorry," I said. She looked up, surprised. "For what?" "For not seeing you, for making you feel like you had to earn my love. You didn't. You never did. You were always enough." Natalie sobbed, put her hand against the glass. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I can't take it back. I can't." "I know," I said. Put my hand against the glass where hers pressed. "I know." Sometimes revenge doesn't fix what's broken. Subscribe if you understand why. 2 months later, I received a letter from Natalie, smuggled out of prison, no return address. I almost threw it away, almost burned it, like I'd burned everything else that reminded me of that nightmare. But something made me open it. Dad, Patricia lied to the FBI. Mom's death wasn't what they think, and I'm not who they think either. I didn't plan to kill Mom. Patricia did. She's the one who got the digoxin from the Kozlovs. She's the one who put it in Mom's coffee every morning. I didn't know until it was too late. When I found out, I tried to stop it, tried to warn Mom. But Patricia said if I talked, she'd frame me for everything. She had evidence planted everywhere. My fingerprints on the digoxin bottle, emails from my account planning it all, bank records showing payments to the notary. I was trapped. So I played along, pretended to be the cold daughter who wanted you destroyed. Thought if I went through with taking your assets, at least you'd be alive. Patricia wanted you dead too. Said you were a loose end. The FBI thinks I'm the mastermind. I'm not. Patricia controlled everything from the beginning. There's proof. Check the notary records again. Look at who actually paid Linda Voss. It wasn't me. Follow the money trail back to Patricia's law firm accounts. I know you won't believe me. I know I deserve everything I'm getting. But before you throw this away, ask yourself, why would Patricia confess so easily? Why did she admit everything the moment FBI agents walked in? Because she made a deal, flipped on the Kozlovs in exchange for reduced charges. She's getting 15 years instead of life, while I'm getting 30. Someone else wanted Mom dead. Someone you trust. Patricia was just the lawyer. Someone higher up gave the orders. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking you to dig deeper. Your daughter. I read that letter 50 times, burned it, but memorized every word. Was she telling the truth? Or was this another manipulation, another lie to get into my head? I didn't know. Couldn't know. The trial was over, the sentences handed down, justice served. But part of me wondered. Last week, I met Carol for coffee. First time since the arrests. She looked tired, older. Grief had carved lines into her face. How are you holding up? I got a new job. Left the yoga studio, needed a change. Where are you working? She hesitated. Patricia Chen's old law firm. They offered me an office manager position. Good pay, benefits for Emma's college. Something cold crawled up my spine. Patricia's firm? Why would you work there? Carol's smile didn't reach her eyes. They needed someone who understood the Minnesota legal system, someone trustworthy, and the senior partner, he said he felt responsible for what Patricia did, wanted to make amends by helping your wife's best friend. Who's the senior partner? Gordon Westfield. You know him, right? He's been your business attorney for 20 years. My blood turned to ice. Gordon Westfield. The man who'd handled every Reynolds construction contract since 2005. The man who'd helped me structure my business accounts. The man who knew exactly where every dollar was. The man I'd trusted completely. Carol stood up. She should get going. Emma's waiting. She grabbed her purse. A business card fell out. I picked it up. Westfield and Associates. But something was wrong. The logo had changed. Instead of the scales of justice, it now showed 3 interlocking circles. The same symbol I'd seen on Victor Kozlov's warehouse. Carol, I said slowly, how long have you known Gordon? She paused at the door, looked back, and for just a moment, one breath, her expression changed. The mask slipped. She smiled. The same smile my daughter wore, the same smile Patricia had. Longer than you think, Ben. Then she walked out.
I sat in that coffee shop for an hour, my hands shaking. Pulled out my phone. Searched for Gordon Westfield's background. Found something I'd missed before. A business partnership from 2003, before he became my attorney. Partnership with a consulting firm in South Minneapolis. Import-export business. The same business the Kozlov brothers ran. Gordon wasn't just Patricia's senior partner. He was the connection, the person who brought the Kozlovs into the operation, the person who ordered my wife's death. And Carol, my wife's best friend who'd helped me, she was working for him. Always had been. The FBI informant story, the security footage, the safety deposit box, all designed to take down Patricia and the Kozlovs while Gordon walked away clean. My wife figured it out too late. That's why she was killed. Not because she discovered Natalie's plan, because she discovered Gordon's. The revenge story you thought ended? It just started. Subscribe now, you'll never guess what happens. I drove to the police station, asked for Detective Blackwood. She wasn't there. Transferred to a different department 2 weeks ago. The officer wouldn't tell me where. I went to the FBI field office. They said my wife's case was closed, evidence sealed, no further investigation. I called Patricia's prison, requested a visit. They said she'd been transferred, wouldn't say where. Everyone who knew the truth was gone or silenced. Do I investigate Gordon or let it go? Comment what you do. That night, someone slipped an envelope under my apartment door. Inside, a photo of me at the coffee shop with Carol. Another photo of me at the police station. Another of me at the FBI office. And a note in handwriting I didn't recognize. Some stories don't have endings. They have consequences. Your wife learned that. Your daughter learned that. Patricia learned that. Keep digging, and you'll learn that too. Or walk away. Forget everything. Live quietly. The choice is yours, but choose carefully, because we're watching. We're always watching. I burned the note, packed a bag, took cash from the safety deposit box I'd opened under a fake name. I had a choice. Walk away, disappear, live out the rest of my life in peace, wondering what really happened. Or dig deeper, find Gordon, find Carol, expose whoever gave the orders to kill my wife. The old me would have walked away. The me from 2 months ago who just wanted justice and closure. But that man died the same day his wife did. I stood in my apartment, looking at the photo of my wife from our wedding day. She was laughing, happy, alive. And I made my choice. I said to her photo, "They think this story's over. They think revenge is done. They have no idea. This isn't the ending." I grabbed my keys, walked out, locked the door behind me. This is just the beginning. Some revenge stories don't end. They evolve. And the people who think they've won, they're usually the next to fall. Part 2 drops next week. Subscribe or you'll miss how this really ends. Who do you think is really behind everything? Comment your theory. Most upvoted theory gets featured in Part 2.